You're listening to a Galactic Network podcast. For more, go to gncast.com.
We are the ElseNerds.
Hello and welcome to the ElseNerds, a production of Galactic Network. I'm Gregor Sprague, and joining me is Corey Scott. And want to say thank you for being so kind as to let us have a couple weeks off to vacation. He uses air quotes on that. And real quick, before we get started, you go to ElseNerds.com or gncasts.com to find all the info on the show and our friends at the Galactic Network. And also, as a warning, on ElseNerds, we tend to just shoot our mouths off without thinking, so we will both spoil things and swear liberally. That is your warning.
That's right. This
Corey,
is the ElseNerds, or as most people like to call us, the Galactic Netcast Mega Feed Show. I skip.
True. I think that's true, though. Okay, so I had this idea. I'm saying this out here now for everyone, but I had this idea because this is episode 74. We have 26 more episodes before we hit to our 100th episode, if I've done my math right. I was going to mention in Slack to Dave, want to be our co-host or want to be our guest on that episode. You know, it'd be a monumental episode, 100th episode and all that stuff. And the title of that episode would be that. This is the show that you skip in the mega feed.
Yeah. We can't all be Who Knew in Review. So, yeah. But it's fine, man. As long as you download us, we don't see the numbers anymore anyways, because iTunes has completely screwed that up.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's all right, man. We're mostly here for each other at this point. You like us for our producer. We know how that goes.
Yeah. I mean, hell, he gets shouted out in a comic book.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I had to do a double take when I read that. So for those of you guys who don't know, in the latest issue of Lazarus X plus 66 number 6, I believe was the title. They're talking about a music DJ named Beatmaster. Like I'm actually trying to find the issue number 2 because I wrote it in. Oh, number 5. The way that it goes is, what was it like working with the Beatmaster himself? He's just so giving and present. He's a total genius. It's like they're talking about Beat. Like, literally.
I have to assume that they are talking about Beat.
Yeah. It's like somehow he met Greg Rucka and...
No. Let's step back. It's like somehow Greg Rucka met him.
Yes, true. And I think he was a DJ. I'm not 100% sure. But like Greg Rucka and I forget who the guy who's writing the X plus 66 little mini series in Lazarus somehow met or had the honor of meeting Beatmaster and all that.
Hey, so Gregor, how was your holidays?
Pretty good. Yeah, I watched TV shows. I watched a lot of stuff like over again. Like I finished watching the IT Crowd for the millionth time. I watched a lot of things just on repeat. And that's not to say like I didn't have other things to watch. Like I still haven't seen the final 2 episodes of The Walking Dead for the first season, before their winter break and all that. But it's just like it was one of these things. I'm like, I already know the big spoiler that Carl got bit, so like I could probably just come in and be like, all right, this is what happened before, done, all good. So show Rick murdering his son or whatever it's gonna be. And then I was watching some other little shows, like they. So I have a minor complaint about because Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee just premiered on Netflix. They moved from Crackle to Netflix. I don't like what they did with the episodes, because on Crackle they actually did like no, there is the viewership, but on Crackle they actually broke it up into seasons and episodes to where you could start from the first episode and make your way to the last episode. With this, they did it in collections. And that's fine, but they're mixing and matching and like all this. So it's not like one straight through. They have them grouped up, which works, except for when you catch an old episode right after a new episode. or a newer episode. And that's the other thing is I'm like, these are all just not new then, is my assumption.
Yeah, but at this point in time,
Um,
if Netflix happens to bring in programming that doesn't contain at least one sexual predator, they're treating it as a win. I'm not saying Netflix has had a bad year. I'm just saying that they've had a few things rise to the surface that were maybe like, oh, maybe we should have known about that. How did we not? Oh, because no one gave a shit. It's really because no one gave a shit.
Yeah. But no, other than that, I mean, the break was good. I happened to get sick for 3 of the days, which sometimes
Only 3 is amazing. With the flu bugs and everything else that I've seen going around, and what we've had the plagues at our home, 3 days is delightful. That's basically just a nap.
Yeah.
I feel like I've gone through round 1 and round 2 and am sweeping my way into round 3 pretty soon.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things that like I just didn't like. I liked the fact that I was sick because I got to sit at home. Well, the first day I just slept the whole, like I slept I think 18 hours that day. But it was just one of these things like I'm like and I tried to go to work and they're like, and I'm like, I can't do it. I feel like I was standing and was sweating, like visibly you could see me sweating, and I'm just standing in one spot one of these days and I'm like, I gotta go home. I don't feel good.
Mommy, I want to go play at the fountain. That's not a fountain.
Yeah, it's not a fountain. That's an electronics worker. That's a nerd. But it's just like getting all through the whole thing. I mean, the only thing that happened is right now my voice gets a little deeper at times, which hurts my voice at the same time. And it's, oh God, it's funny you mentioned about the whole, Amazon or Netflix bringing people this. One of the episodes that happened to premiere on my 25th birthday on Crackle was excluded from the Netflix collection. Can you guess as to why?
Sure.
This is the Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee. I'll give you a hint. It has nothing to do with the 1959 Fiat 600 Jolly.
Was it Louis C.K.?
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like we're sort of in the equivalent of book burning, except book burning was usually with I mean, they thought it was the right thing to do. They were completely wrong. I don't know that we can erase these people out of existence and out of our memories. They existed. The material that's out there is out there. You can Christopher Plummer in a movie here or there, but that's not gonna. We're not gonna go all the way back to Amos and Andy or whatever the movie was with. Oh, who else was in that? Working Girl with Kevin Spacey. We can't just like undo everything that's been done. And I kind of feel like every time I see the principal from Ferris Bueller, especially in Ferris Bueller of all things, and I'm oh yeah, that guy is really he's a pedophile. That whole scene of your ass is mine is very much on the nose. But I can't like not watch Ferris Bueller. It's part of what I grew up watching and everything. I don't watch it with the profound joy of like, oh yeah, let's watch the pedophile hang out with the college or the high school kids. No, it's just like it was a movie. It happened. He was in Beetlejuice, right? I mean, like, are we going to give up Beetlejuice? Are we going to give up the things that were great before? I've talked about this a little bit with Matt on Podcast of Terror, and it's the conversation is not a winning conversation. There's no way to. No. Everybody's got to choose what's right for them. It's just it's difficult. But when you're Netflix right now, they want to get rid of the stuff going forward, and I completely understand that. It's like, let's not bring this person back. Let's get this person out of the series so we can continue on and not have all this controversy. But it's one thing to say, oh, we don't want to invest in the series. Like, there's a channel that's still playing the Cosby Show, like all the time, and I always kind of go past it. I'm like, I really like the Cosby Show. I kind of feel like maybe it's not the right time to be playing the Cosby Show.
Yeah,
but it's their right to do it. And I mean, what other great programming could put on there? 227 and Amen. I think those are on there anyways, but not the same quality of shows. Let's just face facts. So what do? It's tough. It's a tough place to be. And I watched a couple episodes. I haven't really watched the series before. The other night of Better Things, which I know is produced by Louis C.K. and there's a lot of issue with that because you don't want to take away from the show, which is not even really about him and he's not part of, but he is a producer on the show. And so it's like, how do we fix this and move forward? How do we make people feel okay about still enjoying the show that he profits from? You know, and that's always a question. The amount of films that the Weinsteins were involved in, you know, they made a lot of great movies doing really terrible things. I can't just say that, like, for the sake of they're sick and disgusting people, one in particular, or apologists for the other one. I can't just say that all that art doesn't still qualify as great art. It's hard, and there's so many other people who were a part of those things that have nothing to do with that. They were just doing their jobs, and to discount their hard work, or even worse, discount their ability to make a living, it's just not really fair. It's the needs of the many over the needs of the one, or the needs of the few, or the sins of the one.
Yeah.
Man, I don't need to go on this road again.
So God, I have no way to fucking segue into this.
Yeah.
So, anyways,
they're bringing back Tiny Toons.
In our actual news, we have our first bit of renewals that have been announced, and we've picked a few because we've tried doing it in the past, but that gets way too time consuming because it's like, oh, here's all the shows that got renewed on Fox. They've actually, get this, Fox has renewed a science fiction show that's not the X-Files. Holy shit! Like,
well, to be fair, Fox didn't renew the X-Files for a long time.
Well, okay, but they renewed this last one, and before then they had track records of not really renewing science fiction shows. I'm not counting Gotham in that because that's not really science fiction in the way that we are going for here. I don't know. It's okay. They also renewed the Orville, and where I am proud of that. There's also some other things with that too, because, you know, they're saying it might not be coming out next fall. It might come out later and all that stuff because apparently Seth MacFarlane has not started writing any of the episodes. But I'm cool with it. You know, if it means we're gonna get good quality stuff from the Orville, great. But anyways, they renewed The Gifted for season 2. This is the X-Men Mutants TV show that is from the creator Matt Nix, who did Burn Notice, and it's about the Stryker family. You know, they find out that their kids are mutants, and boom, here they go, having to run away when their dad is one of the people who works with the government to lock up all the mutants after a big incident happened. Beat brings up a good thing in our chat. You know, wondered how a Disney-fied, he says McFarlane, but even, I mean, with the fact that we had over, I believe it was before we left, that Disney and Fox have agreed to a deal that we probably won't see the likes of for a year and a half if it comes to fruition. I do wonder about that, but at the same time, looking at this, I'm excited.
Am I wrong? Isn't Fox TV channel not a part of it? I know FX is, but I thought the Fox TV channel they were keeping.
Yeah,
so the production company is. So would the production company
be
shows that are currently ordered and have series already out? That I guess that's something that
what was excluded. What was excluded was the Fox affiliates.
Right.
So that would mean the Fox channel is not a part of the deal. And then the Fox News channels.
Right.
Were not. So they kept their news division. They kept the affiliates, probably because they knew that deal wouldn't go through. Like, to have the Fox affiliates would then become...
Because Disney already owns one of the 4 major broadcasting channels.
Yeah. But they will own the production companies and all that.
And I think they own FX and FXX.
Yes.
Yeah.
And,
which is still, I mean, that's another point of, well, we've got a X-Men spin-off show on Fox. and we have another X-Men spinoff show on FX with Legion. So because it's a production company, you're right, it could affect both, but it seems more likely that it would affect Legion because it would be on their own broadcasting channel, as opposed to the show that we've been making that's been picked up and renewed on this other channel that we don't own. We should just keep making it as we make it for them. Or if we want to sabotage them, yeah, we can break the show and ruin this rating success that Fox is getting from the Orville right now.
Yeah.
That's an aside. As far as The Gifted, now one of my questions, because I haven't watched the show, because I really am not super interested in the mainstream X-Men cinematic universe films or shows. Well, like I like Legion because Legion's weird, and because it's a guy who did the Fargo show. I like Deadpool because Deadpool is a comedy that gets to make fun of everything. I'm interested in New Mutants, but all of the overall X-Men films after X-Men 2, none of them have really worked for me. And that includes the Wolverine movies and even Logan. I thought Logan was fine. I'm not enamored with it that other people are, but I totally dig that other people got what they were looking for in a Wolverine movie finally. So my question is in relation to The Gifted. The last few X-Men movies have all been taking place in the past. Now The Gifted, I assume, takes place in the present.
So the Gifted is, I don't believe The Gifted is in the X-Men cinematic universe. It's their own, it's like their own universe. Basically an event like what happened in Logan. Actually, with how it sounds, I'm picturing more like what happened in the first Civil War comic to kick off Civil War. Something like that happened. Like, big event where, a mutant's powers got out of control and explosion, killed a bunch of people, both mutants and humans. So the humans overcorrected by basically creating these Sentinel services, which is to capture and contain all the mutants. And that's where we're getting at here.
Okay,
this is
for some reason, because of the fact that Bryan Singer was a part of the first episode and producer on the series, may not be a producer going forward, but because of all that, I had assumed that it was actually related to the cinematic universe, and so that was my question, because the continuity for the Marvel Cinematic Universe is in a weird, or the X-Men Cinematic Universe is in a weird place already before this deal, because they went back in time and broke all this shit, and then they've been back in time the whole time. We haven't seen anything of where it pays off, except for Deadpool, which kind of exists as its own thing, and Logan, which was supposed to be the future again, where a bunch of stuff has changed. So it's, and that's really the crux of why I don't like any of the X-Men movies now. So just broke everything about how stuff is supposed to work together and just made this whole mismatch of it doesn't matter, just don't think about it, just enjoy the movie. Well, I might if the movies were even that good, but you're giving me nothing. Like here's the thing though. I don't have any love for it.
Here's the thing though. Yes, you had Bryan Singer, who he directed the pilot and served as an executive producer alongside Lauren Schuler Donner and Simon Kinberg. As well as Marvel's Jeff Loeb and Jim Chory. At the same time, it was just, like they were producers more for the people who, now, in your case, it did backfire. It was people who were the fans of the X-Men series. That was the tie. It was just the executive producers. Now, I want to hit real quick on something that Beat's putting out here about the fact that Lucifer and Gotham need probably a new home. No, they don't. Because of the fact that the deal excludes the Fox syndicated channel. So it excludes the Fox network channel. WB owns and is the one producing Lucifer and Gotham. So therefore, it's still them making the money, not Fox. Fox just got a little bit of it, but not the big cash cow sort of deal from my understanding. But anyways, back to here.
Just your point a little bit. If knowing that this Fox Disney deal has happened at this time, we've known about it for a few weeks now, and it's still going to go through legal wrangling and everything to make sure that it can actually happen, and money changes hands and contract signs and all that stuff. They did just announce that they're renewing The Gifted. So at this point in time, the Fox channel has a viewpoint of, this is stuff we will keep going, or this is stuff we won't keep going. If they feel that they can't make the deal work, those shows aren't going to get renewed. Yeah. So I feel right now, at least for the foreseeable, until stuff starts bleeding out of the contracts, or we get a nice, wonderful Sony hack, then it's not gonna. We're seeing that they think everything's kosher. Not to make this a Jewish thing, because Hollywood, just, it was a term. So I'm just winning everything today.
Yeah, but back to The Gifted, because again, to sell you on this show here, it's a little bit more family drama than we have all this history with the X-Men that you have to worry about. Because really you don't. You see there are X-Men in there. Actually, I think the only one that's really in there is Blink.
Well, there's Blink, there's John Proudstar, which is Thunderbird, or is it James Proudstar?
That one's son, I believe.
Son or brother?
Yeah, he's a relative of Thunderbird.
Okay, so in the comics, Thunderbird was one of the original Uncanny X-Men when they came back, and Wolverine and Storm and Nightcrawler all joined the group. Thunderbird was part of that. He died shortly thereafter, and then his brother James came in later, was part of X-Force. First came in as part of the Hellions, which was another team that Emma Frost ran, that was kind of like the other side of the New Mutants coin, and then he became part of X-Force later on. So, and I don't think he used Thunderbird at first. It was years before he wound up doing that. But
yeah,
and then isn't Lorna Magneto's daughter Polaris?
Yeah, Polaris. But really, that's it. I mean, everyone
which
else,
is still a lot, But two of those characters, I believe, were in one of the X-Men movies. They were in the Days of Future Past, Blink, and I thought James Proudstar was one of the characters in that too. When they're all running through the future with Ellen Page suddenly having completely different powers as Shadowcat than she ever had before, I, for some reason, assumed that they were in that grouping, but maybe not, since it seems like, again, they had Kitty Pryde teleporting people stupidly and sending people back in time. Be that as it may, so that's getting renewed. And at this point in time, they think that everything's cool to renew it. So good, because it does seem to be getting a lot of people interested and excited. I've heard a lot of people are enjoying the show. It's just, for a number of reasons, I just didn't have the interest in it. Even though it's got some people I really like Amy Acker's in it. Amy Acker is terrific. I go back to when I first was watching her on Angel, and everything I've seen her in since. She's always fantastic.
Well, and Stephen Moyer, who was a part of your first I Ain't Got Time to TV, because and also has another X-Men connection because he's married to Anna Paquin. He's big. He was the vampire on True Blood. Well,
if I was such a big fan, I probably would have timed the TV to get those middle episodes in.
For me, I mean, the other part is you look at, this is going from the creator side, Matt Nix, who created Burn Notice. You see some people in here that were in Burn Notice.
Yeah, I was going to say I recognize one of the guys from Burn
Notice. Kobe Bell came in late, midway through the season, or midway through the show on Burn Notice. He's the foil, and then you get a little cameo from the lady who plays Michael's mom on Burn Notice. Okay. She's in here as well. And I'm like, that's so cool. It's like, it's one of those things, like, to me, it's like, okay, you see these people working with the guy that they worked with before. It's sort of like, you've seen Thor Ragnarok, right?
Yes.
The lady who was the Grandmaster's sidekick, she's in all of Taika Waititi's movies.
Right.
And all that. It's one of those things. Or, Brian Johnson appearing in a Kevin Smith movie. It's gonna happen, sort of deal. But no, yeah, so The Gifted Series 2, and it's done good in the ratings. It's got it averages a 2.0 in the Live Plus 7 ratings,
which is a good reason to renew it.
Yeah. The other part on the renewal side is that this is coming from Hulu, actually, that Runaways and Future Man are both being renewed for second seasons at Hulu. Now, this is Marvel's big foray into their yes, it is shared universe, but you don't have to worry about the fact that it's a shared universe with this. But this is actually airing through Hulu, not through an ABC solely owned property. I'm wording those carefully because after this deal, they're gonna own a majority of it. So Runaways, this is a show, and both seasons will consist of 13 episodes, which the Runaways actually had a 10 episode first season run, which is set to wrap up this tomorrow. We're recording this on Monday the 8th. And then Future Man's 13 episode first season debuted back in November.
Future Man has no association with Marvel, just so we make that clear.
No, Future Man is led by Hunger Games star Josh Hutcherson as a janitor and world-ranked gamer who is tasked with preventing the extinction of humanity as mysterious visitors from the future proclaim him the key of defeating the imminent super race invasion. This is actually done by Seth Rogen, Evan Goldberg, and then Matt Tolmack and James Weaver. They're all executive producers of this show. I saw the pilot. It's really, really good, really funny. It's just one of those there with so much on my plate, I just haven't gotten back to it. Where Runaways, instead of I got hooked on the first episode.
Now you said that Runaways was airing weekly.
Yes.
So you watch it like you would a regular TV series. Is Future Man the same way? Is it playing weekly?
Future Man, they just dumped everything. It was like, boom, here are the first 13 episodes. Which Hulu, I guess, does it they sort of do it both ways. They do it the Netflix way, and then they'll do it the regular TV way. Just sort of depends on how it would work. Because for some shows, it would make sense.
It's weird because the expectations of TV are in a kind of flux right now, because it is that you get the Netflix shows that dump everything at once, and so you get this idea that you're going to splurge and watch all that, but then you've got the HBO shows that air weekly. That I wonder, have people made a decision which is better for them, or is it based off the show? I think that obviously both these shows got renewed and they're doing two different things, even though they're on the same network with Hulu. It's just, it's surprising that one would go one way and one would go the other. And is that up to the production company? Is it up to Hulu? Who's making the decision? With Runaways, I could at least see, because it's a shared universe, saying, oh, well, we don't want to reveal too much from like episode 10, because even though it's not directly tied into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, it maybe reveals things that we aren't ready to see revealed that might happen in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or something else. Or maybe it's just because they like having the weekly show as opposed to the all-at-once show. But that's how they do it with the stuff on Netflix. Those things dump all at once. So I do think it's partially that's partially it, because I don't know, because you're right. You mentioned the Netflix shows where they just do, full season, now go and binge, and it's these same production companies, because the Runaways is co-production of Marvel Television and ABC Signature Studios. Do you feel like it has anything to do with the target audience, which I'm assuming from the previews I've seen seems like it would be the freeform viewer, which would be Big Little Liars,
a little bit,
Separated to Birth, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, because with the first 10 episodes, they're loosely basing it off of I believe they said the first part of the 18 issue run that Brian K. Vaughan did. And Brian K. Vaughan is an executive consultant on the show, actually, to further the Marvel connection, besides the obvious one of Jeff Loeb. Another producer on here is Rodney Barnes, who is writing Falcon right now over at Marvel. And because I remember watching the theme song, such a catchy, and it's just music, but just such a catchy thing. Like, it's playing in my head right now, but then again, I am a mental patient who just plays music all the goddamn time in his head. And it's like, I saw it when I'm like, wait, rewind, I recognize that name. And I have
a similar thing, except mine is choral singers that are telling me to kill everybody.
But I mean, the cool thing now, if you guys remember from, when we were talking about this and we talked about the casting, about how, I'm like, I don't know about, Greg Sulkin playing Chase, because he seems like he's too muscular to play Chase and all that. Like, I'm like, no, give me a time machine so I can go tell that version of Greg to shut the fuck up, because this is excellent casting from top to bottom, the parents, everything. So cool. They do this interesting twist. Well, not twist, a different version of the fact that, they don't say that Molly's a mutant. They did this twist with Carolina, with her parents and stuff like that, where I'm like, all right, this is cool. This is, tweaking it enough to where the people who read the book won't be like, okay, this is where they're going to do this and they're going to do that. It's just so predictable, but to where it's not completely separate from the comic itself. I love the show.
So you kept up with the show?
Yes. Yeah.
On the weekly basis,
yes.
Whereas you didn't keep up with the show that dumped all the episodes at the same time.
Well, you're right, but I think part of it was because of the fact that Future Man has an interesting premise, but not one that I'm like, all right, I'm gonna keep watching. Like, it was the ADD kicked in, and I'm like, all right, let's watch this or this or this and stuff like that.
So, do you feel that that's the reason why? If a new show comes out every week, and I've just got this new hour to watch this week, then you feel that appointment television thing still, that tug of like, oh, the new Runaways is out, I want to go pop that on, and you're not stuck on doing it on their schedule. Like, you can watch it at 10 o'clock, you can watch it at 3 o'clock afternoon the next day or whatever. But it is the new one's out, I should go watch it, as opposed to, oh, here's 13 hours of this show that I can watch whenever I want to, then I'll get to it. Yeah. And that's more what I'm curious. It's not a criticism of how you're doing it or which one you chose. It's more of it's interesting that you chose to do it that way, or one more than the other. And it could also be the content too.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's hard to explain because, I like the people involved. I like Josh Hutcherson. I like Eliza Coupe and Derek Wilson. I think I know who he is. And I like the producers involved with Future Man. But it's one of those, like, I'm not seeing advertisements when I'm watching other Hulu shows for the next episode. I'm using quotes because it's the episode that aired 2 weeks ago that they're showing on the next episode. So I'm like, your commercials are wrong. But it's also like, if I just waited and like, okay, I'm gonna binge it later. Okay, I'll put it to you this way. Future Man to me seems more like the bingeable show. Like, you could sit there and actually just just binge straight through it. Runaways, they do enough build up like to where it's great week to week. So I really think that's what they're doing with this. It's like,
does it leave it a hanging point like Game of Thrones, or I assume Riverdale does, or something like that, where it's like we get to the end and here's but coming up, this new tense thing is going to happen. Yeah,
exactly. Like
it's like a page-turning novel. You get to the end of the chapter, you're like, ooh, but what's about to happen next? And then you keep reading, which seems binge-worthy too. Stranger Things does that, but I get it. I think that there's a dedication that you have to have of like, this is going to be the next couple of days for me watching all of this and almost nothing else, versus, oh, well, in between watching reruns of this show and watching the mid-season premieres of the middle and other things on regular TV, I can flip over and go into this when there's the shows that I'm not that interested in for an hour, and then pop back over to the stuff that I wanted to see again. Yeah, like I said, it's still kind of a new thing, and I'm wondering which is going to become the more predominant, or if neither does. If it's just that the type of show determines if it's one that lands all at once, or if it's one that gets metered out. I still say that there's something of value to water cooler talk of a program, but there's only one or two shows that I think really get the effect from that, and they're The Walking Dead, which is happening less and less, and Game of Thrones, which is about to end in a year's time whenever it comes back.
2019.
I don't know that there's any other shows that I hear about, like, oh my God, like I don't know anybody who watches Grey's Anatomy in my workplace, so I don't have people talking about Grey's Anatomy, but I know that there used to be a point in time where that was a regular thing. And it seems like the Shonda Rhimes shows are made for that. It's just a specific audience that doesn't seem to appeal to where I'm at. But there's not a lot of other TV where I'm hearing people say, oh my God, did you see this last night? And everybody's talking about it. And that's both a reflection of where broadcast TV is and where streaming TV is I'll hear people talk about the new Punisher series came out before I'll hear people talk about the new Blacklist episode.
So the next article that we got here, next bit of news we have, sticking with Hulu here, Animaniacs is being revived at Hulu with a 2-season order. Now, not only that, because that's not happening until 2020, but right now on Hulu, you can watch all of Animaniacs that they've made right now, all 99 episodes, plus Pinky and the Brain, plus the spinoff to the spinoff, Pinky Elmira and the Brain, and the complete Tiny Toon Adventures collection, all right now on Hulu. You can go do it right now. The cool thing with this is the fact that Steven Spielberg, who we'll talk about later on in the show, is coming back and executive producing alongside Warner Brothers Animation president Sam Register, Amblin Television co-presidents Justin Falvey and Daryl Frank. And then Pinky and the Brain will also return alongside the Warner Brothers Yakko Wacko and their sister Dot. So this was my childhood. I'm not gonna lie. There were times where I was like flipping between like, okay, commercial here, go over here, like between Fox Kids and WB or Kids WB, like all the time. And
I remember when Tiny Toons came out, and I was still a teenager at that point in time, probably, I want to say 15 or 16. Maybe it was even a little older. I just remember watching Tiny Toons and thinking it was the funniest thing. And then a few years later, Animaniacs came out. Now, we saw the commercials for Animaniacs, and we thought they were doing the Bosco black and white characters that were on a Tiny Toons episode when Babs Bunny was trying to find her mentor. But new characters introduced, and once I watched Animaniacs, Tiny Toons kind of became sort of quaint and childish, because Animaniacs did all this really great tongue-in-cheek stuff. There was the jokes that are over the kids' heads, but were like in jokes for the adults who happen to be watching with their kids. It was still really funny for kids, but as an adult, you watch, you go, oh, I know what they're talking about. And then it did all the Hollywood spoof stuff and other things that were more modern, having Bill Clinton play the saxophone over the opening credits or whatever. And then it went on to Pinky and the Brain having their spinoff show. And again, another level, because honestly, the Animaniacs themselves were great. Pinky and the Brain were fantastic. The other segment characters were very hit or miss, and honestly, mostly miss. Like, the amount of episodes of Good Feathers was just unnecessary, because it was the same jokes over and over again. It's the Joe Pesci bird getting pissed off and saying, "That's it," and jumping over and beating up the guy. The main character had no personality, which is kind of like a funny thing about Good Feathers too. And it just didn't add anything. The funniest thing I ever heard on those episodes was, "Are you cooing my bird? Are you cooing my bird?" I love that. I say that all the time. Rita and Runt. I love Bernadette Peters. She is a treasure to music and theater in general. Plus, she was in The Jerk and Pennies from Heaven, if you're into that sort of thing. Rita Runt was just a cat singing and a really terrible Rain Man ripoff. Mindy and Buttons was cute because Mindy was adorable because she kept calling her mom lady. But otherwise, same thing over and over again. Slappy Squirrel. She's cranky. Okay. I like Mime Time.
Do you have the page pulled up or something?
No, I memorized all this stuff, man. I like Mime Time because they were just the shorts. A good idea, bad idea, fantastic, but quick, But so much of the show was filler. You waited for the Animaniacs themselves, and hopefully it wasn't the one with the stupid Jerry Lewis ripoff, Freud and Laven, or it was Pinky and the Brain. And the rest of it was just kind of like, oh, well, I have to listen to them sing for 10 minutes, so I'm just going to tune over to another station and see what's going on with the GoBots, which we're probably not playing at that point in time. My point is, if they're bringing it back, I hope they're bringing the better portions of it back, and they're creating new stuff to be a part of it. Now, because you said they get the rights to Tiny Toons and they get the rights to Elmira and the Brain, and you were hoping, although we haven't seen any evidence of this, that they would do something with Freakazoid as well. Maybe those other shows could be integrated into Animaniacs, and it could be a whole thing of like all the different Spielberg, Warner Brother cartoons that existed at that point in time.
Yeah.
Although I have to admit, as much as I love Freakazoid because it was a weird, wonky superhero type program, it's about the level as like Bonkers is to the Disney cartoons of the 90s, which was like, hey, we got gummy bears, and that begat DuckTales, and then we got Tailspin, and we got Darkwing Duck, and all these great shows, and then we finished off on Bonkers.
Yeah.
And Bonkers is not good.
Honestly, I look at this and I'm excited for this because, you know, again, like I said, this was my childhood. This was, now granted, I think it was in my area because this is back actually when, you know, Saturdays actually played cartoons on the network. We had Nickelodeon, we didn't have cable at the time. Well, we off and on had cable, but you know, it's like we had as an option, you know, Nickelodeon and Disney Channel, and then we got Cartoon Network a little later on in my neck of the woods. But it's one of those things that it's like you still had the cartoons on Saturday mornings.
Yeah, it was like the last of them, because at this point in time, we've already seen Saved by the Bell take over NBC's stuff. So NBC went to all teen programming, live action crap shows like Hang Time and whatever else, California Dreams.
Yeah, NBC was the first, and then I believe it was.
I don't remember CBS having much at that point, or if they did, it was probably a lot of imports.
It was tied in with Nick. Like they tied in with Nickelodeon at the time.
But didn't they play Mad Max or Mighty Max? That was a great show. That was a really great show.
But and then I think CBS went, and then I think it was Fox and ABC, then WB, because WB was the purchase and then making the CW and all that.
And, so and when they did that, they started doing a lot of things with Pokemon and stuff later on too.
Yeah,
and that's the thing, is that the cartoons got segregated off into cartoon channels, but like you said, not everybody has cable, not everybody has access to those things. So to lose that was my be all end all of Saturday mornings. I get up in the morning on Saturdays, and I get up early enough, and I'd catch Hot Fudge, which was a puppet style show that was not great, but that's the start of the day, and then it goes up through the better cartoons. Like once you get to Scooby-Doo or Super Friends and stuff, you know you had it made. But it was weird to see that all fall apart. And part of it was that I lusted for the Cartoon Network. I wanted that channel, and I didn't get it until well into adulthood. And I'm like, why can't we have all these channels and they won't give me the one good one? But I felt that way years later. If I would have given up Cartoon Network if I could have kept the old Tech TV. Yeah, I really hope that this turns out to be as great as it once was. I certainly loved the show. I loved the songs that were teaching you stuff about the countries of the world or whatever. Like that stuff is where the show really was magical. And it's funny because those things change, and you're like, oh, I want to go listen to the song. Oh, this is wrong. Oh, this is wrong too. But it's still just awesome how well they would do those things. It would involve education without overpowering you that you were being educated. And I thought that was really magical at that time.
That was one of the things I liked and with Tiny Toons, was the fact that they did like Tiny Toons versions of with using their actual songs of a lot of famous musicians. Like they did Aretha Franklin,
Particle Man with TMPG.
Well, they did Particle Man with They Might Be Giants, and Istanbul.
Well, not Constantinople. Yep.
But then they did Respect as well.
Yeah.
Because it's at my church with the old children's pastor that he would play when we were talking about Respect as the kids were coming in, was that clip from Tiny Toons Adventures. But I mean, it's like it was there, and then I know they did a little bit more over on Nickelodeon with Kablam, with They Might Be Giant songs, but it was those two shows, Kablam and Tiny Toons, that got me into They Might Be Giants.
Yeah, I'm from a generation or so before you, so my introduction of They Might Be Giants was when Weird Al used to take over MTV and do Al TV.
Yeah.
So the first time I ever heard of them was he played the video for Put Your Head Inside the Puppet Head, and I was just like, "What the hell is this?" Man, Al TV was the greatest thing ever. And then he had his own show on CBS for a while that was kind of like a different version of Pee Wee's Playhouse to a certain degree.
Yeah, that was on Hulu for a while as well. And actually, going back to Runaways, the bully on there plays one of the parents on Runaways. Yes.
Great.
Like I just did that. I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah, so this is exciting, and I keep waiting for the show that's going to get me to go all in on Hulu. Although you did say something earlier that again put that stick in my craw. of you're watching it and you're seeing commercials for stuff, and I'm like, I still have a problem with the paying the exorbitant fee for Hulu compared to what I get from what I feel I get from other services, and that I'm always still going to have to deal with bullshit commercials with that. And it just that bugs me, and I don't know why, because I love commercials.
Mhm.
You know, I love commercials, but I just need to know that they've cleaned up their act with how they do the commercials. I would rather watch commercial television and get a variety of commercials than what Hulu used to do, which was interrupt the show at an inopportune point and play the same commercial like 5 times. That was unbearable. Anytime I'm on a service that does that, like Pluto TV or whatever, some of the things that are on Roku do that, and I can't handle.
Yeah. So the actor I was talking about is Kevin Wiseman, who played Spike on Weird Al TV. It was his second gig that he got on TV. His first gig, he was on Frasier.
Oh,
yeah. It's cool to think of with all this stuff. But here we have some other news that might bring us some hope, he said in a hopeful manner. And that is DC Films has a new boss. And this is Walter Hamada. He has been named the head of DC Films at Warner Brothers Pictures. This is all from Variety. He will also reportedly oversee other non-DC continuity comic book to film projects. So that would mean what? Vertigo? Maybe Young Animals if they were to do those in the movies?
Well, there's a lot of DC films that they've announced that we don't know if they're in continuity or not. Like the Martin Scorsese, like announced as in a possibility, but the Martin Scorsese Joker movie, is that in continuity? They made hems and haws about if the Batgirl film is in continuity or not, if Shazam is in continuity with the rest of the DC film universe or not. So at this point in time, like we don't even understand the status of what in continuity is after Justice League not doing what they wanted it to. And that's part of why Hamada got named, is because the guy who was there before had to kind of fall on his sword for the whole thing of a bunch of people saying, hey, we should keep using Zack Snyder, even though we all sort of agree that it's a mistake to do that. But we're just gonna roll with it and hope. And that blew up in their faces in much the way that was expected.
Yeah. So Hamada, which people probably will know some of the work that he's produced, because he produced this past year the remake of It, and he was he was producing on the first Conjuring movie. He co-wrote 47 Ronin, and he's served as the VP of production over at Columbia Pictures. And interesting fact, he has a quote-unquote close relationship with Aquaman director James Wan after working with him on the Conjuring and Annabelle movies. The other part to note here is that Jeff Johns has reportedly segued to an advisory role at DC Films, but remains a president and chief creative officer at DC Entertainment. The other DC Films co-head, John Berg, has reportedly moved to become a producer with Lego Movie's Roy Lee.
Yeah, so the Jeff Johns thing, the first, when this first got talked about, there was a lot of talk that Jeff Johns has been ousted as well from the films, and it doesn't sound like that's actually the case. In fact, Jeff Johns, he tweeted congratulations to Hamada, as you do even if you did get ousted, and then he's like, now we got to get you on Twitter. And I feel like John's inviting this guy onto Twitter is like when you drink milk and you find out that it's spoiled, and then you go to your roommate or whatever and you say, here, drink this, where you just trying to spread the pain around. Like, what a fucking dick move to do. Don't go on Twitter, dude. You don't need that heat. You don't need that fucking abuse in your life. Plus, it's a shithole. But I do think that Johns is still a part of this. Maybe not to the degree that he was felt to be before, but John still has so much on his plate. And at the same time, like, there's a whole subdivision of DC that's happening with DiDio and Lee's new superhero universe thing that is basically a ripoff of Marvel the whole way through. And I wonder how much he's a part of that. Like, the guy seems like he's in so many different things. I would like to see him just concentrate on something at this point, or just give up the creative side and be the overseer. Because I don't feel like he can do any of these things well with the amount he has to do. Like, if Feige over at Marvel was in charge of the whole Marvel Cinematic Universe, and then at the same time was trying to write Avengers, the comic series, and do another pet project with Marvel, like doing a Kamala Khan book or something like equivalent. Like, hey, I'm going to write these two I'm going to write a really high profile comic and a lesser profile comic, but it's going to be big because my name's on it, while I'm also trying to oversee all this stuff over here. And then I'm also kind of an editor on some of the other books over here and stuff. Like, you would think, no, you should not do that. You should step the fuck back and do the thing that you're doing really well at, that needs your guidance the most. I love Jeff Johns. I think he's done some great work. I think he's done some less than stellar work too, but it's just been too much. Like, they put so much weight on this guy's shoulders, and I think that there's enough people like what you said with Marvel. They've got Jeff Loeb, not my favorite creator, but Jeff's been in it for a long time. Jeff Loeb's in charge of the TV stuff, essentially. Yeah. And Fahey's in charge of the film stuff. Johns is kind of like back and forth between all of that. I mean, we got Berlanti as kind of the overseer of most of the DC TV universe stuff, but that's because everything he's done has landed so far.
I think, isn't the only thing that Jeff Johns had with the DC TV stuff was Supergirl, isn't that right?
I think so. But again, that's too many things.
And Beats pointing out that Pearl Murder TV's Pearl Murder's Domain, where he is the president, the producer that everyone talks about is Jeff Loeb.
Yeah, Pearl Murder doesn't get his hands sticky, except for when he's shaking him with the president. But but Loeb is the creative sort of visionary type, the Fahey of the TV universe.
Yeah.
Or universes, because again, we're not seeing the interconnectedness of the TV shows to the same degree. Like, some of them, yes, but not like what they have in the film universe stuff.
The other part with this that we're hitting at here is, like, I honestly, I agree with you. You know, like I feel like Jeff Johns, it's sort of like he's doing, trying to do all these different things, and it's falling flat. Like,
I just don't know that it plays to his strength to put him in that type of position. I like Jeff Johns as a engineer of the universe for continuity, and for, you have to get to the crux of who these characters are. Like, and I feel like Jeff Johns does get that. As much as I don't necessarily love the whole bringing back of Barry Allen, he understands a Barry Allen character. He understands a Hal Jordan character. He understands a Superman character, a Batman. He knows what makes these characters who they are, as opposed to somebody who just comes in and says, I really like Batman because he's fucking badass and he kills people. Well, that doesn't seem right. I really like Superman because he's a proto-Jesus. No? I really like Wonder Woman because tits. You need to go away, please. So, like, that's kind of the thing, is Johns is the person who's like, no, I understand DC continuity. I understand DC characters. And if that's the part that he plays, great, and get him all around. But I don't know that running a film universe in the overall vision of it, of the stories and everything, was necessarily strength, especially when he was doing so many other things at the same time. I don't know anything about Fahey before he started with Marvel films, but he's definitely been the right guy to oversee what that film universe is. And he's picked the right people, for the most part, essentially, to make those movies. So great. And maybe Hamada is what they need at DC to do that now. I hope that they haven't set him up to fail. One, because we've had some major disappointments in the 3 out of the 4 major films, or 5 films so far, but also because they've got so many ideas spread out all over the place. Like, there's a Batman Sentinel movie that Ben Affleck is doing. No, Ben Affleck is not writing, directing, or producing it anymore with Jeff Johns. Jeff Johns again. Oh, but he'll still be in it. Well, maybe he won't be in it. Maybe he's not going to be Batman at all anymore. Well, there's this Batgirl movie that Joss Whedon is doing, and then there's this other 5 fucking Harley Quinn movies that may be happening, and Shazam, and is Flash happening? Is Flash not happening? Remember when we were going to have a Cyborg film? the fuck were we thinking? Like all this shit. It's you're walking into what is just somebody threw Legos all over the floor and you're barefoot. And they're like, go find the ones that you need to make the Millennium Falcon, but no, you're not allowed to put on slippers.
So to answer your question on what all Kevin Feige's done, Marvel movies. Like according to Wikipedia, it's it started back in '98 with Blade. He was an associate producer. Then X-Men, Daredevil, X2, Hulk, Punisher. He's done them all. Like he was even an executive producer on Spider-Man 2. He was a producer, co-produced The Incredible Hulk with Avi Arad, which he did co-produced Iron Man as well, and also Gale Ann Hurd on The Incredible Hulk. But yeah, even on television, Iron Man, Armored Adventures, Wolverine and the X-Men, Marvel's Agent Carter. He was executive producer on all those. So I mean, he's basically done, the Marvel stuff.
Yeah, executive producer is a little weird, but it is amazing that that's essentially where he got his start and what he's done the whole time. Which also makes me think, dude, what if this guy leaves? Because at some point you might get bored, but he keeps bringing out new shit that maybe keeps him from getting bored. Or maybe he just maybe he's one of those people who's actually content like with his success and says, this is great. Why the fuck would I ever give this up? Cold dead hand? Just some people, very rarely do you hear about the people who are like, yeah, I really love what I'm doing and I just want to do this for as long as I can. Unless it's like, I had a shot at something else really good once and then I felt like all uppity and I left it, David Caruso. And then I decided I needed to get back to something stable while someone was willing to give me the fucking chance again, Katherine Heigl. And please don't fire me from my show one more time. Everybody at Fox. So
are you doing that Kevin Nealon bit from SNL? Is that what you're doing right now?
I wasn't intentionally, it just sort of happened.
But no, yeah, I mean, so this is pretty cool. I do like the fact that they have, it sounds like they might have someone here who can get an idea as to what the hell they want to do with these movies. The last bit of news, just real quick, Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency has been canceled after 2 seasons. I'm of mixed message because where I liked the first season, I'm not 100% sure that I finished it, and I haven't even touched season 2.
I watched all of season 2.
Yeah. So I'm part of the problem.
I loved season 2, but it was very, very different from season 1. And it broke up the team, which they are often to do in second seasons. You can't just get everybody together and have them remain happy. But it did a lot of things that I was just so surprised about, and the world that they created for it was great. All the cast was excellent. It might be my favorite TV show of the season of this year. So I'm really bummed to see it go. And I also recognize that it's not very much related to Dirk Gently from the books. I read the books a long time ago, like in my teens, but I didn't have a huge problem with that, again, because it was a long time ago. And I think the show just built this great idea and ran off with it. I'm sad if it doesn't come back, like if it doesn't get picked up by Netflix or something else, which I would like to think that it could. They just brought the second season to Netflix this last week. So if you are interested in catching up on it, you should be able to.
Yeah.
But I also understand, it's on BBC America. It's hard for someone who isn't up to snuff with it to just jump right in. And it maybe isn't for everybody. It's a weird show. It's weird and quirky, and it's exactly what I liked. I understand also that there's some issues with Max Landis, and that might be part of it, much like a lot of other things going on right now, is if people's names suddenly disappearing off of their own work, or they lose their shows because it seems like people don't want to work with them.
Yeah.
I could see that being part of the problem. I hate to see the show punished if that's the case, because the show itself was, in my opinion, very fun.
But no, yeah, it's, I mean, honestly, it is sad to see that happen, but I mean, I honestly, I wish everyone involved with Dirk Gently the best of luck in their next project, which, I mean, if it's Elijah Wood, I mean, God, that dude does like everything.
He does show up in a lot, and that's one of the fun things about Elijah Wood is that he'll pick the weirdest projects.
Well, yeah, not even just acting. I mean, if you listen to his episode or watch his episode of Talking with Chris Hardwick, where he talks about his like all of his different passions. I'm like, where do you find the time? I mean, God, and I thought Ryan Seacrest and Chris Hardwick were just busy little beavers, but good God, you put them to shame.
If you had the opportunity to do anything you wanted, that's kind of a statement about the kind of person that you are. If you had nothing holding you back, and if you had the money and people believing in you, and just in general, just the like, you wake up in the morning and I could go anywhere, I could buy anything that I need to. I'm not worried about bills. I'm not worried about work stress or anything else. What do I choose to do with that?
Yeah.
And there are people who choose to do it all. You know, you get your Renaissance men like Joseph Gordon-Levitt. You get people who could easily ride on the successes of being an actor, but then also produce and then also write and then also do all these other things because it's what they love to do. And then you get someone like me who takes a dozen naps. Because I love a good nap. Yeah, it's appealing.
Ladies and gentlemen, my co-host here, Garfield.
Brought to you by Casper Sleepbox. I look at that and I respect the hell out of it. I don't know that would be me, but if I woke up and I didn't feel the driving anxiety of my house is falling apart, my life doesn't really make a lot of sense, and I just keep waiting for the moment the wife is going to leave me because why does she have to deal with this shit with me? Then I think I would probably pick up my guitar once in a while. I would probably, I would find the time to write, not constantly and maybe not even for a living, maybe not even for publishing, but just to the joy that I get. I love to write when I'm doing it, but it's getting to that chair, it's getting to that desk and making that decision and feeling like I don't have a billion other things that are on my plate already that are far more important than my good mental health. Maybe I would do those things, or maybe I would watch all of American Gods like I wanted to and just haven't gotten around to it yet. There's a lot of compelling things to distract, but the distractions are usually because you can't deal with so much of the real shit at once. And if I wasn't distracted, would I be better or would I be the same? And I can't tell you that I would be a better person. This might be the person that I'm supposed to be. I don't hate it. I'd like to make subtle changes. But man, that you see the people who just do it all. And it's easy to make fun of a Ryan Seacrest because he's just so overexposed, or Chris Hardwick because you turn on your TV and he's fucking everywhere, and you're like, fuck that guy. I got to watch another goddamn Chris Hardwick show. No, there's nothing wrong with those people. They're up there because they're good at what they do, and they do it. They put in the fucking work. That's something to respect.
So that's gonna do it for the news. And if you want to help us out, help us keep the lights on so we can keep on ranting here.
You want to take a little bit of stress off of Corey's plate.
Yeah. You go over to gncast.com/support, and over there you'll find our Patreon page where you can, donate money to us, and it keeps us, going, and helps us just keep the lights on here at the studio. Just keeping the WordPress going, all the plugins for it, and the paying the fees for the domain so that GNcast continues to go to us and doesn't go to a porn website or whatever. But yeah, that's all that stuff can be found there. It is on to the ElseViews. This is the section of the show where we talk about the TV shows, movies, comic books, music, basically whatever we've been watching over the past 2-3 weeks, since we were last here. Corey, you got anything, or because I've got a couple I can talk about.
I can jump on a grenade and say that I watched and pretty much enjoyed, for the most part, Bright.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
I'm the guy. I'm the one. I must be the 11 million views that it got on opening weekend, although I only remember watching it once. And this was from
Now,
this is from the person who directed what became Suicide Squad after someone else got their grubby mitts on it, right?
Yeah. So this is from David Ayer, but now you said something interesting, because it's not like you watched El Camino Christmas or something like that.
I don't even know what that is.
That was one of the, so with Netflix revealing all these different statistics, they also released a statistic for one of their other new movies that came out that stars Tim Allen called El Camino Christmas.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that existed.
Yeah.
So
it wasn't
no,
that
I
one.
missed that one.
It was another Christmas movie that actually stars Rose McIver for My Zombie.
The boyfriend something or the
yeah.
prince or I don't know.
That he's like, oh, all these guys watch this one. It's like probably because Rose McIver, because she's hot.
I had seen the commercial for Bright way back when, and a lot of people that I am friends with, most of us are gamers, are and I mean like role playing gamers. So this looked like modern day Dungeons and Dragons, and there was some of that. There really wasn't enough of that.
Yeah,
we got trolls, we got elves, we got fairy in a bug zapper. Not a lot beyond that. But I feel like, one, I think by the time I saw this, it was already the plan that there was going to be more movies. And then Netflix announced a sequel almost immediately after it hit the air. But I definitely see it as the world building. There wasn't a ton of it, but I didn't hate that there wasn't a ton of it. And it doesn't do all the in-your-face shit that, again, going back to Suicide Squad, what it got edited in to do, where they put up the character blurbs for all the people that they show up on screen, and here's this guy and he's good with a noose, and here's this guy and he likes to bite people's heads off and shit. But it had some of the basic character types of, like in Suicide Squad, Killer Croc was very gangsta-esque. And that's how you say that, Jeopardy, gangsta. But they did a little bit of that with the trolls in this, so it felt kind of like that's, I don't know if that's a racial profiling thing or what, but it just seemed like, yeah, that's what they do. And the elves are elvish, except they're all dicks and heavily magic users in this, at least. But it was just fun. You know, it was a fun, good, action-heavy, being chased through the city, buddy cop who don't like each other kind of thing. It's like 48 Hours meets, oh God, what was, I'm trying to think of a movie where people get chased. Attack the Block, maybe.
Okay.
Where they're running away from aliens and stuff, or everybody's coming after you. The Warriors is another good example of that. I think Alien Nation, certainly in the relationship of the two characters to each other, good call, Beat. Very much that. All things that I like. All things that make for a good, fun film. The Dread movie. Except the Dread movie all happened inside one building. The us against the world, or the world really against us thing, and trying to find their way out of it and not getting along at the same time, not having the best relationship. I can't think of anything that is a major complaint about this movie. And overall, like, if the sequel hit tomorrow, I'd gladly watch the sequel. Yeah. You know, not because I'm expecting it to be better, but just as more of the same. I would like to see more of this. Now, I know that they released some backstory short or something that's supposed to give you more information about it. If you're the sort of person who needs that thing, then sure. And I wouldn't mind seeing it, but it hasn't been urgent for me. I got what I needed out of the movie, you know, and I got it with the idea that there will be more of this too, but I didn't feel lost in it. I didn't feel like there was anything in the story that was like some big plot hole that doesn't explain that needed to. It's just like, it doesn't over explain. It brings you in, it gives you just enough, and it lays out the premise, and you run with it, or they run with it. I don't know what the common complaint really was about it. I saw so many things saying that it's not a good movie, and I don't know that I would say it's a great movie, but it tells a better story than a lot of other stuff that I've seen be successful or expect to be successful because it's a huge blockbuster. I just thought it was fun. Oh, and the guy who played the troll partner, just real fast.
Joel, isn't it Joel Edgerton?
I loved his character. I absolutely loved his character because he's just so earnest and displaced. Like, doesn't really. I can't say that he's not bright, but he's just not street smart for wanting to be a cop, but all of his motivations and stuff, as you find them out and you see his character, just felt authentic, and his comedy chops were really good, like how he was interacting with Will Smith's character was all really good. And I didn't recognize him from other stuff, mostly because of the makeup.
Yeah.
But I was really glad with his performance.
That's good. I mean, it's one of the things that like this has been on my radar, but then again, I find like we talked about earlier, I find myself going into the comfort hole of let's watch Travel Man, or these shows that I've already seen, like let's just watch them or whatever, while I'm going to use this as my segue, reading comic books like Quantum and Woody #1, written by Daniel Kibblesmith with art by Kano. And this, we talked about it earlier on last year, because they announced that this was a reboot, that this was happening, and I had seen it through Comic Shop News, and I'm like, all right, cool, so it's coming out here relatively soon. Then I saw it, I'm like, all right, buying it. Now, for whatever reason, I've mainly stuck with DC and Marvel, DC, Marvel, and Image when it comes to my comics, and then Archie comics with Archie, and then Jughead when they are doing those comics. But it's mainly the big three, and it's nothing against the other guys. It's just I have never really had a good jumping on point, but this is a great jumping on point. They give you the origin of the characters in a way, and then they give you the stuff that is happening right now with this story. Not only that, this has got me. They have in the end of here a 2 or 3 page preview of the next issue of Exo Manowar, which they're billing it as a jumping on point. And I'm like, I was reading it, I'm like, I might pick up Exo Manowar. So they're doing their job here, Valiant, of here, check out this from us as well, or check out that from us as well. The story, really quick, because it's a #1, they're doing a lot of setup here. You meet Quantum and Woody or Eric and Woody in their secret hideout, as they called it, which their treehouse and their backyard. And you figure out that Woody, his parents died or something, so he's been adopted by Eric's family and all this. Then you fast forward to the present day where they're adults, where they become superheroes, or Quantum gets recruited to become a superhero. Woody's trying to do the whole package deal thing. They go their own ways, but and you can explain their powers a little bit more, but basically they have to come and, as they say, clang, touch bracelets every 3 weeks or something like that, every so often. Otherwise they explode, and they've grown to resent each other and all that stuff. But it was good. It's hard for me to explain because I'm remembering pieces out of order. But I mean, all in all, it's a great comic. Like I mentioned it before we got on here, Gordon. I'm like, I really think you would enjoy this.
Yeah, classic Quantum Woody, back when it was created, when Valiant got purchased by Acclaim, was, I want to say created by, it was certainly brought about and recognized as being under the helm of Christopher Priest. Christopher Priest, who's had a recent resurgence doing stuff with DC with Deathstroke, and now he just started doing the Justice League book, and widely considered to be a hugely talented writer, but hasn't had major successes that you would think of him being. In people's minds, he's a bigger name than what his books have done sales wise throughout the years. His Black Panther run, his group, The Crew. He also went by a different name on some of his stuff too. I want to say it's Owlsy, but I could be completely wrong on that. I've always liked Priest, and I think he does a good line between doing stuff that can be very serious and very real world feeling in stories, and then also doing comedy. And Quantum and Woody was this great book because of the partnership, the buddy cops who hate each other thing of a 48 Hours versus a Lethal Weapon. Although the first Lethal Weapon, they definitely didn't get along. Quantum and Woody, the fact that they had to rely on each other because they had to touch or clang their wrists together to get their powers to activate a G-cell being, which I think is kind of what they do in The Gifted, right? Isn't that what the teens do? Is it has to do with proximity? Their powers improve or get stronger? That's the way the characters were in the comics.
Yeah, it goes in like that with a little bit later on in the show, but the way it starts is the girl, she creates like sort of like air shields. So with honestly, with how they look on the TV, they sort of look like silicone, almost like breast implant things that just pop up and appear, because they're all just like little like pocket shaped things. And then the boy, he just like, as he gets angry, he just tears things apart. But as they focus in on these same things, it becomes super duper destructive, much like their comic book counterparts. Yes.
Yeah. So I mean, and Quantum Woody, one of them is the more serious one who wears an actual costume, a mask, and a cape and everything. And the other one is kind of the cool guy, lean back wearing sunglasses opposed to a mask, and doesn't take anything seriously and always lets you down. But that's the joy of it. And since the revival of Valiant in the last few years, I was reading Archer and Armstrong, which I had never really read before, but I was reading that series when Fred Van Lente was writing it. And those characters, kind of the same thing. Archer, very serious, very kind of regal and more like a knight, and Armstrong is the boisterous, drunk, immortal guy who is a little bit more like Thor, leaning towards Volstagg. Like if you think of Thor in the first Thor movie, where he's like throwing tankards into the fire and all that stuff, that's Armstrong. And Archer is the guy who's like, he's got a quest and he takes his quest very seriously and he wants to follow through it. But that, again, the conjecture of the two of them together and how that works, and just some amazing storytelling around those characters, which kind of all added up to it. So Quantum Woody, Archer and Armstrong, kind of the same ideas. It's just in how they play out. Yeah. And in both cases, that's not a bad story to jump through. It's just that how many times you go to the same well in the same universe. Yeah,
true. But yeah, overall, I mean, I like the book. The other ones that I've been reading, I mean, Doomsday Clock, I've been enjoying. Speaking of Jeff Johns, and then the resurrection of Jean Grey of the Phoenix, that's been a compelling story as well. Actually, with that one of the first things I've ever done is bought an expensive variant. I bought a $20 comic book with the issue 1 with the, I believe it was the 1 in 25 printing variant. And I'm like, well, I want to read it. I don't want to, I actually want to pay for the comic, so I'll do it. And all that, but yeah.
Those are just they didn't have any of the regular covers available?
No, so because what I had been doing, or I have been doing, is going into the comic store on Fridays when I get paid, every other week. And so in this week, this time I'd actually saved up some money to where I could go this past Wednesday, which is when I got Quantum and Woody last week. But when I'd gotten this week's comics, or this past week's comics with Batman White Knight and a couple other books, I got in there and that was the last issue they had, was the 1 in 25 variants. So you weren't looking to buy a variant, but it just, since all the other ones had sold out, you were like, well, I'll just go for it then. And it was the same this past week, because the Phoenix Resurrection series is every week. Like for starting 2 weeks ago, it's 5 weeks, just boom, 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 boom. And when I went there this past Wednesday, I had the option of a regular variant for $6 or another 1 in 25. I'm like, I'm not doing that one. I'm gonna do this one. And so but again, I don't regret it, because it's it's one of those, like, I opened it up to the back to get the digital code and read it digitally through the Marvel Comics app, but yet didn't do. So it's like, it's in good condition. It's in my long box, or my short box over here.
It's kind of a rite of passage. Every comics fan, like a comics fan of someone who goes to and supports their local comic shop, which is not to say that people who read digitally are not comics fans or not true comics fans. Of course they are. But that first time that you get your first variant, you know, it's better when you do it by a conscious choice of like, oh, I really want to get this variant. This is the one that I'm looking to get into. But it's still it's kind of like that moment of like, oh, I got this and this a perceived value, because all of it is, of course, only perceived. It's not realistic to say that this thing that's printed on the same kind of paper as everything else and has the same stock of cover as everything else, but just has different artwork on it, is actually valued higher. It's like sports cards or anything. You don't need it to live. It's a want, not a need. But to have that one thing and treat it a little bit more special and keep it bag and boarded, to keep it pristine, maybe one day save up to get it slabbed and CG graded or whatever. That's kind of neat. When shortly after I moved to California and I was working at the comic store out here, the Fantasy Books and Games, the first job I had out here, that was when Gen 13 did their #1 that had, I want to say 13 covers for their regular series. They'd had their miniseries already, and then they did the multiple covers, but that seems low because there were a lot of covers. Might have been closer to 30. And I remember getting a bunch of those covers for a friend who was really into Gen 13, and it was not easy to get any of them, let alone it seemed, I think at that point, kind of impossible to get all of them unless you had pre-ordered and done all that stuff. But it was cool to do it, and some of the covers were exceptionally neat. So that's what I would concentrate on. I'm always the person who tries to buy the cover that I think looks good, not necessarily is the rarest one. Or more often than not, I'm the person who'll buy the cover that's by the interior artist. I like having the interior artist do the covers because I like to know what I'm getting into when I open a book. I don't want to see this really spectacular poster-styled art on the front and then open it up and it looks like drawn over shit inside, which is not necessarily the case if there's a cover artist versus an interior artist, but it's been often the case, especially lately when they switch artists from month to month on a book and you don't have a consistent storytelling style the whole way across.
There's been a few exceptions to that rule for me, but mainly I follow that same thing. Like, you know, like I've bought in other variants. I need to get what I believe issue 4 and 5 are not one. They're not 4 and 5, but they're part 4 and part 5 of Descenders Rise of the Robots event, because they had the interconnecting issues covers. Got the first 3. I have 2 copies of the first one actually, because I had like accidentally bought the one and I'm like, no, I want the inner cover, and they ordered it for me and I'm like, oh, I still want the book, so I want to read it and all that. So I have issue number 1 twice. I think I have that like with some of the Champions books, but it's like, it's one of those things like with all these, I buy like what cover interests me the most when I'm looking at, you know, at Nostalgia Inc. at my local comic shop. That looks good. And I'm like, all right, I'm gonna do that one. And sometimes it's like they don't order enough, or you know, I just, because I show up on a Friday, they've run out, and I'm like, oh well, this is slim pickings, okay. And if it's an issue that's I really want, I'll be like, all right, can you order me this and all that so that I can, you know, have this book and not cry or something, you know, something like that. But I mean, it's, I don't know. I look at this, I look at that, I'm like, it looks like a cool cover. So I'm like, all right, I'm not gonna not pay $20 for that cover if it's gonna be crap, you know. But yeah. So that is the ElseViews. I stuck to one mainly. I talked about a couple other things, but it was just more quick picks. We'll be right back with the ElseWords.
The galaxy far, far away feels closer now than ever before, and your guides through this galaxy are ready to help. I'm Zach Hagenbusher, one half of the new Jedi Archives podcast with Ben Schultz. Join us every other Tuesday for our experiences with the Star Wars saga, from the core films that we know and love, well, you know, some of them, to the annals of history and the works that shaped Star Wars into what we know it as today. Just jump in wherever you'd like. Download an episode of the new Jedi Archives today.
And we are back, and it is time for the ElseWords. This is the one topic show part of the show where we talk about things that are coming up this week we are talking about some of the movies that are coming out this next year that we are excited for. Some of these are going to be obvious. Some of these are going to be, wait, what? So some of these will be probably subject to change. I'm going to skip right to February, unless there's anything in January you want to hit.
Well, January we've already started. So we've seen Insidious: The Last Key is out. I feel like there's been really diminishing returns on the Insidious movies. The first one was great. If you like something that's basically a ripoff of Poltergeist, it's a good ripoff of Poltergeist. Yeah. And then the second one was okay, and then the third one was really bad, and I don't know that it's improving. I love the concept. I love the lead actress and her character. I love the Geek Squad guys, essentially, that she tools around with, one of which is I want to say it's actually James Wan, or the writer of the film that became the director of the films. I don't remember exactly, but I don't know what the expectation is of a horror movie that comes out the first week of January. I'm surprised that there's a Paddington 2, but it looks cute and kind of awesome. I don't know what else. The end of the month is bringing us the new Maze Runner. I kind of thought the Maze Runner was like the Insurgent series that they just kind of gave up, or what was the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe films too, the Chronicles of Narnia, where they get to a point and they're just like, oh, no one's really coming to see these anymore. So I am surprised as shit that the Maze Runner is coming out, but I guess since it's only a trilogy, it's okay. At least it doesn't look like they're trying to do the last book in 2 parts, which is probably the best thing they can go with. We watched the first Maze Runner, and it was interesting, and then it ended in a point of like, holy shit, you have to watch the next movie. But then we never watched the next movie. Yeah, and I think it probably had something to do with the fact that Peter Baelish, Littlefinger, or whatever, is in it, and he's like the Scorch, and I'm like, I don't need to see any more of you right now, man.
I'm gonna move on to February here because, again, like I said, there's some like Den of Thieves interest me a little bit, but not to go see it in theaters. Probably more of a rent the movie or something later on. But February 16th has Black Panther. I saw that trailer. It's Thor Ragnarok, and oh good God, I'm like, I want this in my life right now. Bring this to me.
I kind of feel like Black Panther didn't necessarily get the short shrift. It just seems like so long ago that we were talking about Black Panther. And then they recently, as recent as a month ago, dropped the Avengers Infinity War trailer. Yeah. And so I feel almost like I forgot Black Panther was happening, not just before it, but also so soon. Like it seemed like, oh, well, Black Panther must be happening after Avengers because we're not seeing a lot about it right now. And I feel like that's a huge mistake. But every time it pops up, everybody seems to get super excited about it. And I am just all over this movie. This looks incredible, and I really think that this has a lot on its back of high expectations from the audience at this point, but it looks like it's earning those expectations. And everything I see, it's just so exciting and seems to be bringing some really new and needed things to the Marvel Cinematic Universe in a way that, say, Ant-Man or Doctor Strange didn't. They were consistent with what was out there. They were fun, and they were fully enjoyable movies. But this is a movie that I feel like just builds something that wasn't there. Like that first time I saw The Winter Soldier, and I walked out and like, holy shit. And the first time I saw Guardians of the Galaxy, and I'm like, holy shit. Like, I did not expect this from Marvel superhero movies. This is that next level of that. Like, not just, oh, I'm going to have that same reaction. It's like, oh, I feel like I'm going to get more out of this than I've gotten out of any of them so far, of doing something new and exciting. So you're right. I'm totally up on this. Now, I won't say that it ranks above 50 Shades Freed for me, because how can it? I haven't seen enough spanking so far in the 50 Shades universe. I really need that third dose of it. Oh God, please, yes, he said breathlessly into his partner's ears. I hate that an actress that I really like, because of a TV show that she was on, honestly, is known most for her association with these movies, and she shouldn't feel bad about it. It's kind of like the same thing that happened with Kristen Stewart, and I I hope that she doesn't get the backlash that Kristen Stewart has had for a long time, and I think is hopefully finally managed to get out of.
Yeah.
With the people just like, oh, you're so full of shit because you were in those goddamn Twilight movies. I hope that Dakota Johnson doesn't get the same thing for being in the 50 Shades movies. It certainly helped jumpstart her career at a level that she probably would have struggled to get to without getting this kind of blow up project. But I look at these movies as being just so horrible, not because of what they're about, but because of how pathetically they are about them, and because the source material is such shit when it comes to BDSM, and the Christian Grey character is just god awful. And in a situation where we are looking at all the abusers in Hollywood already, to have this film series coming out and finishing off right now is just such a slap in the face to the Me Too / Time's Up movements that I just kind of go, how do we feel okay with this? But it'll come out. People who are still interested in taking it all the way to the end will watch it, and then hopefully she gets to do better films than that, because I feel she deserves it.
Yeah,
but we'll see.
So March, and we're not going to hit every month because there's I think August there's no movies in there that interest me. March for me, Death Wish I'm curious about because this one has some of the same controversies that Ghost in the Shell had, because this is based off of a manga / anime, and apparently there's some whitewashing in this or something. I think I could be confusing things.
Which one are you talking about?
Death Wish coming out Friday, March.
I thought Death Wish is the remake of the Charles Bronson movies starring Bruce Willis.
Is that the case? It is. It is, because I'm thinking of Death Note. Sorry. You're right.
That was the Netflix original.
So anyways,
Rip-off.
Scratch that because didn't know that.
Although very funny that Death Wish is right above Gringo.
Yeah. So A Wrinkle in Time I'm looking forward to. Tomb Raider, because mainly it seems like they're basing this more off of the recent game that they did with the Tomb Raider series.
Well, Tomb Raider just seems like it's not to disqualify it, it's the female Indiana Jones. And by that, I don't mean, they're just taking Indiana Jones and gender bending it, but I mean the giant world adventure scale type movies. And that's why I find Tomb Raider so exciting. I think there's such huge potential there. Just in the same way that the Mummy movies, Brendan Fraser's character was kind of like an Indiana Jones character, or the National Treasure movies were Indiana Jones-esque in the stories they were telling. I think Tomb Raider has such huge potential, and I think the first movie delivered on that for the most part, and then the second movie didn't, and they never followed up after that. And it may have been because Angelina Jolie was so big that to relegate her to being Tomb Raider at that point in time wasn't a good enough fit for her to stick it out. Yeah. Whereas since this actress is not established, but she is still not at that level, this could be big for her, and it could be big for the franchise. And I'd like to see this franchise have success.
And then Friday, March 30th. Oh, good Lord. So I'm hoping this movie does not let me down. Ready Player One. I've seen
I thought you were talking about Lean on Pete, which I assume is a movie about a mossy tree.
Yes. But no, Ready Player One. This is the first movie that I've seen from where I read the book before. And I'm like, they've taken the pictures that I formed in my mind from reading the book, and they've made it a trailer. They made it 2 trailers. Can they make it a movie?
Still not terribly familiar with the book, so I can't say that I look at those trailers and have the same excitement that other people do.
The second trailer is the one that explains the whole book. You know, it explains everything.
Yeah, I've seen that, and I get it. I have enough understanding of what the book's about. I just don't have the attachment to it that other people do who've read the book, because the book is to many people amazing. It is to me, it by sound only, by not having read it. Yeah, nostalgia for nostalgia's sake, and nostalgia in the place of story is how, when I hear it described, I think, oh, like everybody says, you should read this. You would love this book. You were the guy in this book. And I'm like, yeah, that's maybe why I shouldn't read it. because it's not gonna pull me out of my reality. It's going to pinpoint all the things that I feel like are wrong with me.
Yeah.
I have issues, but still, it looks good. It looks interesting.
And Beat is pointing out that I left out Pacific Rim. That's because I haven't seen the first Pacific Rim. So I did that intentionally because I haven't seen the first. So therefore, I wouldn't feel right like for me saying I'm looking forward to the second when I haven't seen the first.
And I saw Pacific Rim, and I remember enough to feel like I didn't see Pacific Rim. But I get Beat's thing because Pacific Rim, especially because it's got John Boyega, also from Attack the Block, if we're going backwards, could potentially be very fun. Am I into kaiju? So I haven't watched the new Godzilla. I haven't watched the new King Kong. And I know that there's some other new Godzilla movie that's supposed to team them up. And I have not had any interest in any of those. I don't know, man. Maybe that's not my bag.
Yeah. Yeah, fair enough. But what I think is in your bag though will be in April.
Well, wait. One thing you skipped over in March was the Black Widow movie that is not called Black Widow because Marvel couldn't get off their fucking asses to make a Black Widow movie. That is March 2nd, Red Sparrow, the Jennifer Lawrence movie that is blatantly Black Widow. And if it succeeds, and I don't know if it will, it may be the upstart film of like, oh shit, this is actually a lot of fun and really good, like Atomic Blonde was with Charlize Theron. If it does anything like that, Marvel should feel a good swift kick to the nuts because they could have done this already, and they should have done this already.
No, you say this, and I'm looking from like just doing a Google search of it. I'm like, all right, yeah, this is on my list because Marvel's done the Marvel Legacy. I'm gonna use the quotes around that version of a new Black Widow that they barely touched. That you could have easily seen being called Red Sparrow and all that. I'm adding that to my list. I'm gonna forget Death. I see. The problem is I just picked the wrong March 2nd movie because I thought Death Wish was Death Note.
Yeah.
But yeah, April on Friday the 13th. I'm pretty sure this is one of your picks here. The New Mutants is coming out. I want it
to be good, man. I love the New Mutants more than I love the X-Men.
Yeah.
When they both came out, the X-Men, I came in at like 163. The New Mutants started maybe about a year after I started reading the books. And because they were closer to my age, they were more like my peers. They were in school. They were just starting out and discovering their powers. Like the X-Men were already established. They had a history. They were fighting in space. The New Mutants were fighting on Earth and dealing with complications in life. And the single favorite comic of my entire youth was a New Mutants comic that I got signed by Chris Claremont. Sienkiewicz, who's the artist that they're pulling heavily from for inspiration, is just amazing. And again, changed how I saw comics, especially superhero comics, being able to be. I really hope this is excellent. Plus Magic, one of my all-time favorite characters in general, not just as part of the New Mutants. I really want this to do well, but I want to do well because it's a great rendition of a movie for the New Mutants. While the New Mutants, I watched the trailer and even with the Demon Bear Saga stuff, I don't necessarily see New Mutants in the trailer so far. But they can do something to surprise me. They can impress me. They can make it be something great that maybe isn't like the Dirk Gently, isn't Dirk Gently as I recognize him, but it's still a great ton of fun to watch and see and be a part of. This could be the other X-Men property that I'm excited for when the X-Men films have let me down so badly.
Yeah. The next one that I think we've been waiting for a while, Super Troopers 2, because they did that Kickstarter or Indiegogo thing like 3 years ago, it seems like. But that comes out on Friday, April 20th. I'm looking forward to that. I mean, because I like the first one.
Yeah, it's up against Rampage, which is another Rock movie.
Yeah, true.
And I love Dwayne Johnson. Don't get me wrong. but
Yeah.
he needs to start being challenged. Like, I see that people are digging the new Jumanji film, and I don't think anybody in that movie is playing against type. So it's just good mindless fun, and I'm cool with good mindless fun. But too many of the Rock movies are looking the same, and I see this Rampage thing, and it just looks that same level of sameness, and it's based off of a video game that I like a lot, but is a video game that doesn't need a goddamn movie. And I don't know that this is doing the game's origins any justice with what it is. But that's based off of what is effectively teasers at this point. Could be fun. I just low expectations. Low expectations. I don't expect it to be Baywatch, but I don't necessarily expect it to be Jumanji by that point either. And it looks like a full week of stuff coming out because the untitled Cloverfield movie, it looks like it's been moved to that week as well. And I know that had gotten pushed back. If they pushed it back to go up against Rampage, maybe they think they've got something there.
Yeah. In May, we get Avengers Infinity War. And then we get Solo, a Star Wars story. Not really. The other movies aren't really. I don't care about Slenderman and all that.
I mean, I feel like I have to care about Slenderman because I'm on Podcast of Terror, and we did the Creepypasta episode. One of the first movies that we reviewed on Podcast of Terror was a Slenderman type film. But I don't know anything about this movie to really say that I'm excited for it. It could be cool. Infinity War is going to be a beast. Yeah, like it is something that I think every other movie of the summer is going to compare itself to, and if anything beats it, that's going to be a huge win for whatever movie does. And I hear mixed things about Solo, like they expect it to fail. I don't know that anybody expects a Star Wars movie to fail, but I can certainly see they expect a Star Wars movie not to be the success of the other Star Wars movies. It'll be interesting to see what they can make out of that film with how much they've had to redo. Yeah. But goddamn, we get Donald Glover as Lando.
Yeah.
Like so, I always go back to, I don't want to see Han Solo not be Harrison Ford. I don't necessarily want to see Lando not be Billy Dee Williams. But if we're gonna get it, Donald Glover is the one to go with.
Yeah. So June we have Deadpool 2, Ocean's 8. I'm mildly interested in. The Incredibles 2. I love that little teaser that we had. One I will mention, but I'm not a big fan of. Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom.
Oh Jesus Christ!
And then the Sicario 2, Soldado. All those coming out. What was Sicario 1? Sicario 1 was starred Emily Blunt and was it Benicio del Toro? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it was Benicio del Toro. That was who I thought it was. But I'm like, wait, no, it's not Benicio del Toro. It's the other guy. But yeah, it was. Is
that a political intrigue spy thing or?
No, it's a drug cartel thingy.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, that's why I don't know it, because they're two perfectly great people. I sort of remember seeing a commercial or something for it at one point. I am surprised as shit that it did well enough to get a sequel, but I don't know what it's. I don't expect that it's like trying to be Jurassic World or whatever. Does Jurassic World look like shit?
It's
like
the
new one. I saw the trailer and it looked like shit to me.
I'm not a big fan of the Jurassic Park series myself. So
I like Jurassic Park, and then everything they've done past that has been like just
I like the first one. I mean, the first one scared me when I was a kid, which I mean it was supposed to, and all that. But I mean, I haven't really had the interest in seeing these new ones. So I'm like, I mean, it's out there. Hey, cool. Go watch it.
I saw the trailer and it felt like the same things over again, and it felt so evocative of the Jurassic Park sequel, which was, hey, everything you liked about the first one, we're gonna fuck that up now, and we're gonna bring in a bunch of characters and do all this stuff that makes no sense to even remotely do this. Just because we want to show you more fucking dinosaurs wandering around, and Chris Pratt, because you like Chris Pratt. I do like Chris Pratt.
Well, hey, speaking of more of the same, I mean, in July we get The Purge 4.
I haven't watched any of the Purge movies.
I haven't either.
I've not been there.
Yeah, but but I'm gonna try to go through these quickly. Ant-Man and the Wasp, Hotel Transylvania, Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again, the sequel to Mamma Mia, which I feel like if they do a third one, it'd be Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again, My, How Could I Resist You?
Yeah.
Like they're just gonna keep. Eventually, they're gonna go like to 20, and it's gonna be the whole song.
Yeah, exactly.
And then Mission Impossible 6 and Teen Titans Go, the movie, or sorry, Teen Titans Go to the movies. Which, okay, now that I hear that title, I sort of want them to do like a Mystery Theater 3000 / Riff Tracks thing where you're watching another movie. like you're watching the Teen Titans Trouble in Tokyo movie while the other ones are.
The Teen Titans try to sit through Justice League, and at some point you just see Robin beating his face with his own staff because he can't believe what kind of shitty stuff is happening up on the screen with his mentor and all of his favorite heroes. And
Yes.
Cyborg looks at himself up there and is like, I quit. Just like walks out. By the way, Cyborg, one of the better parts of the Justice League movie. The actor did a really good job with a character that I couldn't believe that I even cared about.
Yeah, so in August we get The Equalizer 2. I'm only mentioning because it's a sequel. Barbie,
and I really like the first Equalizer. Again, nothing like the TV series as I remember it, but it's hard to go wrong with Denzel, especially Denzel kicking ass.
Yeah, Barbie, which I'm assuming is based off of the doll.
You skipped the Predator.
What is that the?
I believe that is the introduction of the Predator creature into its a new movie again. Yeah,
see, that was my bad. I was like, okay, what is this? A biopic on any insert name
yeah, exactly.
But then the 10th has a remake of Scarface because we needed that.
Oh God, no. I don't like mobster shit anyways, but
yeah. And then we have, I'm just going off of the title alone, Crazy Rich Asians on Friday, August 17th. Then September, continuing with the whole Denzel thing.
Wait, no, go back. Friday, or not Friday, but in August on the 17th, the Happy Time Murders.
Okay.
And the Happy Time Murders is the murder mystery with Muppet characters, but not necessarily the Muppets. I think it's Melissa McBride is a part of it. And yeah, I've been waiting for this movie to come out because I had a horrific dream when I was a child recurring about a axe-wielding Muppet killing all the other Muppets on the Muppet Show. And I was there as like the Scooter of the show, and then Henry Winkler was the guest that week. So this is one of those things where my childhood horror fantasy comes to life and goes into film.
Please tell me.
I'm really excited for this.
Okay, yeah, I'm getting excited for this too. I'll be even more excited if the puppets are made by Jim Henson. They are. Oh my God.
Oh yeah.
Oh. Okay, yeah.
So if you haven't ever seen Meet the Feebles, you can whet your appetite with Meet the Feebles, which is an old Peter Jackson movie around the time of Bad Taste and stuff before he like started getting busy with the Hobbits. But I'm jazzed for the Happy Time Murders. So I don't want to skip Waters I expect buried diamond in the midst of things like Equalizer 2 and shit.
I thank you for this, and I hope I do not forget that when it comes out. But now, going to September, there's not a lot in here. Darkest Minds, Alpha, Robin Hood.
Robin Hood has Egerton from The Kingsman in it, right?
I believe so. The Kid Who Would Be King is another movie in here.
We're a little far ahead now where some of these things I don't think we're going to know much about what they're about.
Yeah, this is when we get into September with it being the beginning of the year, even sometimes in August, this is where the movies will get pushed back. This is where you're seeing a lot of, like, if you look at the list, we'll have it in our show notes. You'll see like the untitled Cloverfield movie or this or that. It's understandable that this
October brings us something.
Taron Egerton, Taron Egerton is
Robin Hood.
Yeah, Paul Anderson is the guy at Bisburn. Jamie Dornan, there's your 50 Shades Freed connection. Jamie Foxx is playing Little John. That's pretty cool.
I mean, we're just a year out from when Guy Ritchie did King Arthur, and I see this, and I don't know that the world's screaming for another Robin Hood take, let alone a gritty, sort of modernized but still in the past thing. I don't know exactly what they're going with for it, but we'll see. I really like Robin Hood as a character. It's just it's been done so much in my lifetime alone, and I'll have to see. But October on the 5th, right in the beginning of the month, we get what I still don't know is the spinoff from Spider-Man. Is the related to Spider-Man? Is he not? The Sony said, "Fuck it, we have him. Let's make a film with him." Venom.
Yeah. So Venom's coming out. That's again. This is one. If depending on if there's hiccups, this could get bumped back because it's still out far enough. Again, October. This is looking like looking at a lot of this, a lot of stuff that you're like, wait, really? Did this have to be done? There's a new Halloween reboot. There's a sequel to Goosebumps, which I saw that I was like, that needed to happen.
The Halloween reboot is one of the people that's in charge of it is Danny McBride, which is interesting. But they're bringing back Jamie Lee Curtis again, and they're wiping out all the continuity after the first Halloween to do this new Halloween. So Halloween 2, which was a direct sequel, gets wiped out, as well as Halloween H2O when they brought back Jamie Lee Curtis before to tell her story of like, oh, here's where she returns. And it seems really weird that we've had shifts in the continuity before, and they just gonna keep doing it because Halloween apparently can only sell if Jamie Lee Curtis is a part of it.
Yeah.
And if we just tell the same story over and over again, I'm not super excited for it. Although they seem very earnest in what they're trying to do, and Carpenter seems to be on board for it, which is important to me. But I just don't know, man. Nothing I've heard about it makes me feel like this is the one true Halloween.
And again, I feel like you and Matt would be the ones that we would go to on this one because you guys do the podcast of terror.
Oh, well, then we'll just shit in our hands and throw it at the screen like monkeys.
Isn't that what Matt does at movies anyways?
That's what he does at meals and religious ceremonies.
So moving on to November. November, this is again where we start to pick up X-Men Dark Phoenix, Mulan from the Disney live action remake of Mulan. Weirdly enough, because the last one is it's iffy. Dr. Seuss's The Grinch.
Have you seen any of the stuff for this?
No.
Okay, so
I have not.
It's a prequel to The Grinch that stole Christmas. It is a young Grinch. It's him kind of cute-ish and innocent, and it's animated. It's not a live-action thing. They're not doing anything with Jim Carrey and trying to bring him back and then de-aging him or putting him in a small body like Baby Man or whatever. It looks like the Lorax that they did the animated film of. So it's not going to be scary shit like Mike Myers as a Cat in the Hat. It's more like Horton Hears a Who, but it's a prequel story because you're right. We have seen the Grinch movie not too long ago in the live action, and so doing it again seems unnecessary. But they're releasing it in November, so I assume it has nothing to do with Christmas, but may get kids warmed up to watch the Grinch cartoon movie and then go and watch whatever Grinch version they want for Christmas as well. And I'm okay with getting them into the original cartoon. That's great. We'll see. Since it's a whole new story to tell, I have no expectation, but I also don't know that it needs to happen because it's not really Dr. Seuss. It's just stealing a character from Dr. Seuss and doing this whole other thing with it. Yeah. So if it's not Seussian at all, what does that give me?
Yeah. I mean, the good part that I will give it is it's done by Illumination Entertainment, the guys who do Despicable Me and Sing, and they have Benedict Cumberbatch voicing the Grinch. So I'm like, all right, I can see this working. The other one, because it could be a Christmas movie, because the one that comes out the week before that I'm looking at, I'm like, oh, we should probably mention this too, is The Nutcracker and the Four Realms. That to me tells me that that's going to be a Christmas movie, that they're just doing it here because you look at December and these movies are going to get trampled on in December.
That's true, but they are doing Christmas stuff then in November, which is not far off. And I mean, God knows we start decorating for Christmas before Halloween even arrives. But It also could be because it's not the Nutcracker, it's the Nutcracker in the Four Realms. It could be taking the character of the Nutcracker and doing more with it that then leads into Christmas. That's how I would do it if I was making these decisions.
Yeah.
Is Holmes and Watson the third of the Robert Downey Jr.?
No. Holmes
Okay.
and Watson is the comedy. I was actually going to mention that next. It is directed by Ethan Cohen, and it's written by Ethan Cohen. Stars Ray Fiennes as Moriarty, Kelly MacDonald as Mrs. Hudson. I'm blatantly going around who this. Okay, I like this casting. Hugh Laurie as Mycroft, playing Holmes and Watson, Will Ferrell, and John C. Reilly, respectively.
Okay, so someone's putting my nuts in a shredder.
Yeah, it is a as it says on IMDb, a humorous take on Arthur Conan Doyle's classic mysteries featuring Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson.
Tell me humorous is in quotes. No.
It is one of those things. Like I looked at this, I'm like, maybe. But then you have the following week, you have Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald, and then the week after, you have,
or as Jezebel likes to call it, why the fuck are you putting Johnny Depp in another goddamn movie?
Yeah. And then the week after, you have Ralph Breaks the Internet to Wreck-It Ralph 2.
Nice. So I didn't even know that was coming up.
Yeah. In the month of November, you get 2 instances of John C. Reilly. That's most that we've gotten all last year.
And I'm teasing about the Ferrell Riley thing. When they're together, they are capable of making some really funny shit.
And also Ethan Cohen does good stuff.
Yeah,
I mean, he stretches the gambit, honestly.
And it would be nice to see them play characters that are actually maybe age appropriate for once.
Yes. Then in December, this is again why I said there was all these. I'm going to go right down the list here. Starting with on the 14th, you have Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. This is the Sony animated Spider-Man movie that is focusing on Miles Morales. Mortal Engines, I Know Nothing. Aquaman, the Aquaman from the DC movies, directed by Justin Wan. Bumblebee, this is a prequel from what I understand, focusing on a Bumblebee from the Transformers with John Cena in it, apparently for some weird reason. Then Tuesday, Christmas Day, Bohemian Rhapsody. Part of me wants to go see this just because, like, one, I think they did excellent casting with Rami Malek. You know, as like with seeing that photo, I'm like, oh hell yes, he looks like Freddie Mercury. But then also, like Beat pointed out earlier, to see what is going to happen, if this is even going to happen, because of everything that has happened in this recent history of things with the producer.
I mean, we've got 2 major movies coming out where they've had the director get replaced in the midst of it. Between this and Solo are the ones that I can think of where, hey, we're doing this movie. Oh, nope, no, we're not. But someone else will step in and take it over and finish it off. And I mean, this last year it was Justice League that happened to, for different reasons. But yeah, this is it's to be put into the December 25th spot of that. They still feel like, at least right now, that it's going to be good enough for that kind of attention. Hopefully, and maybe it absolutely will be. I'm a big Queen fan, and the actor playing Freddie seems like he was a very good choice, like you said. I'd like this to be good. I don't know what this movie is other than a biopic, and if that's enough to get me to go to a theater to see it, or if I wait to see it on TV and just blast the shit out of my speakers so I can enjoy all that music. We'll see, but hopefully. Yeah,
basically, from what it looks like here, the Christmas Day is biopic day, because the other movie is Mary Poppins Returns. Which, okay, sorry, I'm a little bit off with that, because it's not going to be a biopic, but it looks like they have some bits that might be a little bit. But this is actually going to have, it has Dick Van Dyke, Emily Blunt, Meryl Streep, Colin Firth, Angela Lansbury, who I did not know was still alive.
Yeah.
I hadn't seen her in anything recently, and I'm like, either she's just enjoying retirement or she's not here. Julie Walters,
the guy from Hamilton. He's
Manuel Miranda.
He's apparently playing Dick Van Dyke's original character.
Yeah.
with Emily Blunt stepping in to play Julie Andrews' original character of Mary Poppins.
Yeah. Honestly, this looks really cool. Like, to see this. Like, I like
it seems like the right movie to put out for Christmas Day because I assume it's going to be made for a level of the age group that watched Mary Poppins, which would be kids, but it would have the family nostalgia for the adults who grew up watching the original Mary Poppins. And if I can't imagine Disney can't making this work. As much as, again, like Mary Poppins has been one person to me for my entire childhood on up. To see someone else step into that role is weird and feels a little wrong. But Emily Blunt is an excellent actress who could do a fantastic job with it. If you're going to pick anybody, she was probably the right one to pick. So I have to imagine that it's going to be a huge film.
Yeah.
It would take some real doing to screw this up.
True. And this is where I honestly, there's a bunch of movies in there that we didn't even hit on. So, the article comes to us from, I believe it's from Collider, and we'll have it in our description. So you can see, you could see all these. And actually, Growly, I disagree with you on the whole, I'd vote Anna Kendrick instead of Emily Blunt. Anna Kendrick seems like the obvious choice because of the fact that she's done the Pitch Perfect series. But Emily Blunt has, well, one, she's British. Two, she can sing and all that. And I see her more as a Mary Poppins than Anna Kendrick.
Although Anna Kendrick can do anything because she's Anna Kendrick.
Yeah, Anna Kendrick to me seems a little too young to play.
What I think what we're saying, Growly, is you're not wrong, but we have to share the wealth. We can't let Anna Kendrick do everything because when she absolutely could. But we shouldn't do that because it's not fair to everybody else. Like in the everybody gets a trophy world, you gotta give other people a chance. You gotta give other people a chance.
Mrs. John Krasinski needs a chance here.
It's like I would have seen Death Wish with Anna Kendrick. I would see the Solo movie with Anna Kendrick. I would see the what is the Pixar one that's coming out? The Wreck-It Ralph.
Incredibles.
With Anna Kendrick. I would watch The Incredibles if they just superimposed Anna Kendrick in every frame, hanging out with Pixar creatures. I would absolutely, yes, you're 100% correct.
Yeah,
she could and should do it and all else. There's that Comcast commercial, I think, where they have or maybe it's Hulu.
It's Hulu.
Where there's like 4 Anna Kendricks, and I'm like, that's just a drop in the Kendrick bucket. We need a 1,000 more of those.
Here's the thing. No, here's what's going to happen. That movie's going to come out, and then Anna Kendrick's going to get on Twitter saying, "I would have done a much better job than Emily Blunt. I love her, but I would have done
she would never say that. She would absolutely never say it because she's perfect. No, what will happen is the internet will create doesn't matter. The internet will create a demand, and we will start a petition for the Zack Snyder Anna Kendrick cut of Mary Poppins that has to exist because we've conceived it in our brains. Well,
I'm saying it now. I want the Zack Snyder Han Solo film cut of the film.
Of course you do. Who couldn't want that? But right. Nobody's asking for the Lord Miller cut, which is just perfect.
Oh gosh. And on that disappointment, we're gonna end the show. Because I think we've been going on quite long enough and I gotta go to bed. But yeah, so like I said before, basically if you want to get a hold of us, you can contact us via a couple ways. You can leave us a voicemail at 805-328-3966, or you can email us mail@elsenerds.com. I read all that email. It's mainly Twitter stuff like, oh, hey, this person's on Facebook, follow them, and all that. But anyways, break up that monotony by sending us an email. All of our subscription options and links can be found over at gncasts.com/subscribe. It's also, you go on all of our social network stuff, you will see us at Galactic Netcast for the whole studio production company that we are. And then the ElseNerds on Twitter, Beatmaster's at Beatmaster80, Evan is at Mr._Fusion. I'm at that Gregor. And then Sean Burns is at S Burns PA. Maybe we'll get him in the spring or something. A little springtime showing action. Corey, where can people find you?
Don't look for me on Twitter because I'm not
Should
really
I
happy with Twitter. Don't ever put an at with me because I don't tweet, first of all, and Twitter's just a cesspool. If you want to go to a place that's probably still a cesspool but in new and interesting ways, you can check out the comics that I help publish for Levi Krause and friends. Don'tAskComics.com. Check out Balyar, which I did help write, or Levi's World, the classic independent comic from the 90s. Spells, a bunch of little weird witches. Shock, which I can't explain Shock to you, man. You got to see it for yourself. It's just no.
Why have we gotten done this yet? Just go see it. Just go read it.
Just go look, man. They're all there. They're there. There's plenty, and you can click through all that goodness, and we'd appreciate it. That's it.
Yeah. And the final thing to be said is this has been a Don't Tell Glenn production. We will see you next week.
Or Anna Kendrick.
For more on this Galactic Network podcast, go to gncast.com. That's GNCASTS.com.